Kevin, I must compliment you on something. There is such a complete transition in Jack Casey, and it begins with his shoulders and his strut. And there is so much physical awareness of a man's self-esteem dipping. When you walk into the bar and you have a strut and you're in a suit and your shoulders are arrogant, you're filled with self-confidence, and a few minutes later we see you at number one, the mustache is gone. And I thought, what was Jack Casey thinking that one of the first things he did in rediscovering his own values and priorities to shave his face clean?
Well, the mustache I saw as a young man's attempt at being taken seriously in an older world. And I think I saw Jack as a guy who ultimately really didn't like it, you know, but felt like he had to have it to be taken seriously, to look a little older, to keep his hair short and trimmed, to wear really nice, you know, suits. And it was just part of getting rid of that whole other life, as I actually refer to it in the film as the other life. And I'm glad that you saw that. It's funny how you certain physical manifestations happen sometimes. Specifically, you actually say, yes, I'll do this at this point. And sometimes it kind of just happens in spite of yourself. You know, you work on something emotionally and it manifests itself in your body. And that particular look and strut, I think, came out of a lot of what I was feeling at that point. You know, I didn't really make a conscious effort to say, you know, let's walk like that. It happens sort of in spite of yourself.
And the symbolism of the rather conspicuous ring in the early scenes, is that part of Jack's prosperity of the moment?
I think it is. Yeah, it's part of that. That ring belongs to my girlfriend's father, and he was in business, not in the same business, but similar, for many years, and he had this ring that was left over from that, and I asked him if he could borrow it, and he was nice enough to let me use it, and I just thought the size and kind of gaudiness of it was right for this character.
I thought there was something extraordinary because as someone who, in the best sense, has been on his own since his teenage years and has certainly traveled under rather exotic circumstances, as you did. Was it the Los Padres Mountains?
Yeah.
You ended up in at one point on your way to your brother, and was it your brother-in-law's place in San Francisco?
Right, my brother-in-law's place in San Francisco.
Will you explain something to me? I don't understand this. When somebody's on the road, as you were, I gather with a knapsack, and you don't eat properly, and you are not bathing,
right,
and you get black mouth disease, and you have to eat white bread for several days. Kevin, what is black mouth disease?
But it's this, now I don't know if this is actually called this. You wake up in the morning, and your mouth is one gigantic canker sore. You cannot put anything in your mouth without it completely burning. I don't know how I got it. I mean, I have a good idea, but it was my whole tongue was swollen, my whole mouth. It was just it was one of those fun things that happens to a kid on the road, you know.
Well, you certainly kept your teeth white.
Yeah, well, you know, it goes away eventually if you eat enough white bread.
All right, I'm glad that's resolved, because I had never heard of that before, Kevin, and I think it's important to understand.
I think I probably made the name up. Maybe it's hoof and mouth, I don't know.
But you know, you have a wicked sense of humor, and people, having met people with whom you have worked in the past, you're the kind of actor who can say and I gather facetiously, that one of the ways of handling interviews and making yourself mysterious is to sit very quietly. Don't answer a lot of things. And then people say, well, he's teasing because he's really rather articulate and an interesting man. And of course, one thinks of groups of actors now who feel that the promotion and the publicizing of a film is somehow beneath them, and one hears extraordinary lines, like your friend and colleague, Sean Penn, saying, well, Robert De Niro doesn't give interviews. And you think it may be too late or too early to say, Well, Robert De Niro worked a long time before he said, I don't think I'll give interviews. You did a junket on Footloose.
Yeah.
We are here on Quicksilver.
Right.
What is your attitude now, as a man who really has come from the theater and television, toward the publicizing of your work and your films?
Well, there's two parts of it. One is that I don't really see myself as a mysterious person. I have no desire to really create mystery around me. I mean, sometimes I'm sort of tempted by people that are able to do that, you know, but it's just not me. You know, I'm sort of right out there. My career, if it's to grow, I mean, the movies that I'm involved with have to be successful. And the more successful they are, the more I'm able to work on things that I really want to do. And part of the success or failure of a movie has to do with promoting it. And it's not that bad. It's not that hard, you know. For me, I don't have that tough a time with interviews. You know, I sometimes even enjoy them. Every once in a blue moon. And so I say, you know, I balance the two possibilities and say, yeah, sure, you know, I'd like to do a junket. You know, I'd like to get out there and have people see me because I want people to come see the movie.
When you approach a film like Quicksilver and you know that Daniel Melnick wants you, he is the producer, there will be no screen test, you're not competing with Matt Dillon or any other teen idol for this role, you have it. Do you approach it with more confidence because you know you were wanted as opposed to testing and sitting by thinking, I hope I get this?
I guess the actual work I do approach with more confidence and also the feeling that my input is wanted and is respected and people are interested in hearing what I have to say about how the film will turn out and what kind of ideas I have in terms of what to do with the character, in terms of how to play a scene, how to make a scene work, you know, what sort of wardrobe and, you know, all those things. And I think that's partly because I knew that I was wanted for the movie and also partly because it's just a process of learning, you know, learning from your experience. You know, I've actually been in now, I don't know, 10 or 12 movies, and it gets not easier, but it just gets different. I'm more sort of comfortable on a set, and I kind of understand the process a lot more than I used to.
That's rather full circle, isn't it, from that aptitude test you did for your father?
That's
There's
right.
a line that your inclinations and your talents indicated art, architecture, painting, whatever. And when the person giving you the test asked what your interests were and you said acting, the line was, well, you'll certainly know your way around a set.
Yeah, because it was structural visualization I was very high in, which is like, you know, how you put pieces of blocks together. It's wiggly blocks is what it is. You put these wiggly blocks together and they test you and they see whether or not you have good structural visualization, which I was very high in.
You still painting?
No, I haven't actually painted for a while. I still doodle on my scripts. That's what I do. I do script doodling.
No, we think of, I'm not forgetting the work in things like Friday the 13th.
Oh, thank you. I hope we don't forget to work on Friday the 13th.
Well, at least you were in the original. Come on, Kevin, you weren't in Friday the 13th 6.
I was in part 1, that's right.
That's right. Hero at Large.
Another winner.
Sure. Listen, John Ritter's doing Movies of the Week. What I wanted to say about all of this is that when you do something like Diner, and you capture the attention, critically, commercially, people look at the acting and think, this is really good. You wait months and months, and of course the attitude is, I've been noticed, there will be scripts. I'll choose the best, and things don't happen for months. And I think of your days waiting in restaurants and wondering when the next opportunity would arrive and when the solidarity comes in. And I bring all of this up because I always thought that if Robert Redford had made the decision to cast Anne Margaret in Ordinary People, and you know she was his first choice to play the mother.
I didn't know that.
Yes, she was. She turned it down, saying she could not do the role emotionally.
Oh.
I thought that you, with Anne Margaret and Donald Sutherland in Ordinary People, might have happened. But as we know, you were very close in getting Ordinary People, but at the last moment, you didn't. How do you deal with being that close to something you know you want and continuing to say, it isn't me personally, there's just something he wanted that Timothy Hutton had at that moment that I didn't?
It's a very difficult thing to deal with, and it still happens. You know, it still happens to me. I mean, I still, like, somebody comes along, and I say, boy, I really want this. This would really be nice, and it just doesn't work out. The thing that's hard about it is that if you're a painter, then your painting is rejected, and you have some kind of a separation. You know, if you're a musician, it's you have a little bit more separation, a piece of music at least in between you. But an actor, it's really like, it's you, pal. You are what we don't want. You know what I mean? You are what's not right for this, and that's real tough. I mean, I think that I've always had sort of a rule ever since I've been in New York. You know, I mean, even 10 years ago, I'd go on open calls, and I'd see 400,000 blonde-haired, blue-eyed guys, you know, sitting there about my age, waiting to go in. I try really to wake up in the morning, or to look at this crowd, or to walk down the street, or, you know, and whatever I did, and say, whether you're good or you're bad, I'm unique. There's no one exactly like me. They make it really, really close, but there's no one exactly like me. And if I just hold out long enough, something good is going to happen. And that's really what I've tried to keep as a rule, and that's how I deal with it.
You got the offer from the producer of one of the soaps who said, just stick with this for maybe 3 years, you'll make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And you walked away from it. Did you walk away from it because you were convinced even at that point that you were unique and your uniqueness would be noticed, and that the soap might put you in an acting rut where you did stay for 3 or 5 years, and suddenly said, why should I give up the financial security when I know 500 unemployed actors?
Mm-hmm.
Why did you leave?
I felt like, I realized that it was important to take some risks with your career. Sometimes I think you have to make yourself kind of hungry again, and take some shots, and it seemed like a good one. I also didn't really enjoy the work all that much. Soaps are very unsatisfying in a way, because for me at least, because you always play the middle. You know, you're never playing the beginning or the end. You're always in the middle the whole time you're there. You know what I mean? No, the scene never ends. It's always cutaway, cutaway, cutaway. You know, and you never wrap anything up, and it started to get to me after a while. And I felt like, I mean, I could see people who had been on for years and years and years, and who were happy, I'm not saying, and successful, and had a lot of really nice stuff, and really felt good about what they were doing, and were doing very good work. But it just wasn't the way I saw myself, and so I said, well, I've got to stop now. Plus, I had got Diner, too. I was on my way down to do Diner, so that helped, you know, to stop and go into a movie.
I think it's wonderful that I can sit in front of an actor who, when he got that important break and did National Lampoon's Animal House, and they said he was going to get union scale, and you thought you'd become rich. What was it, $785?
$785, yeah.
5 weeks' work?
5 weeks, yeah. Big money.
Well, I'm sure it was at the time. It was yours.
It was. After taxes, you got about, I don't know, 400. Yeah, I spent it in like an hour, I think.
Is the rapport that's so perceptible on the screen between you and Paul Rodriguez, between your characters of Hector and Jack, is there a friendship?
Yeah, well, I haven't had a chance to see Paul that much. Certainly we were friends during the movie, and I'm very drawn to comedians. I don't know, I find them very fascinating people. I think that what they do is, I mean, Paul's obviously now an actor. I mean, he's not just a comedian, but to me, to get up there and just to put yourself like on the line like that is so frightening. I mean, I at least have some kind of other dialogue in between me, some kind of a character. I have a couple of friends, you know, Paul Reiser from Diner, I'm close to, and Rodriguez, and I love to go to the comedy clubs. I love to watch him work out, and I did quite a few times while we were working. Paul would be, you know, playing in L.A. and stuff like that, and I'd go see him.
I compliment you on Quicksilver.
Thank
I
you
hope
very
I get
much.
a chance to see you in Joe Orton's Loot.
Oh yeah, I hope you to come down.
And it's always reassuring to meet a young actor who does a film and goes back to a play. We haven't talked about 40 Deuce or Slab Boys or all the theater work you've done, but you've done some exceptional theater work. It's probably why you're as effective as you are on film.
Thanks a lot.
Pleasure.
Appreciate it.